Hello, I am the Dark Knight Apologist, and welcome back to Dark Knight Apologetics. Okay, so today we are debunking the pillars of the heavens. A lot of the religious flurfers out there, the religious flat earthers, will say that the pillars of the heavens support the flat earth under a domed heavens. Let's see if they are right. Next slide. Here's a illustration of what they think the flat earth looks like, what they think our earth looks like. Hint, it is not flat. They are wrong. Next slide. The pillars of the heavens. The flat earthers say that the pillars of the heavens refer to the pillars that hold up the domed heavens. He spreads out the northern sky over empty space. He suspends the earth over nothing. He wraps up the waters in his clouds, yet the clouds do not burst under their weight. He covers the face of the full moon, spreading his clouds over it. He marks the horizon on the face of the waters for the boundary between light and darkness. The pillars of the heavens quake august his rebuke. Job 26, verses 7 to 11. Next slide. The pillars of the heavens, from the Hebrew word amud, pillars of fire and / cloud, Exodus 13, verse 21, suspended the veil of the temple, Exodus 26, verse 32, knocked down by Samson, Judges 16, column of smoke, Judges 20, verse 40, Solomon's palace, 1 Kings 7. Next slide. Pillars of Solomon's temple, 2 Chronicles 3, verse 15. Illustration of Solomon's temple. Next slide. The pillars of the heavens are the mountains. The Bible associates quaking or shaking with the mountains. Psalm 46, verse 3, Isaiah 54, verse 10, 64, verse 1, Nahum 1, verse 5. And that is all I have on pillars in my slides. So let's look at... It said it was Judges 16 for Samson. Yeah, Judges 16 for Samson. Let's go over here. And we are looking at Judges 16. In case you're wondering, my argument is a little tricky. So let's see if I'm reading this right. Judges 16, starting at verse 24. And when the people saw him, they praised their God. For they said, Our God hath delivered into our hands our enemy, and the destroyer of our country, which slew many of us. And it came to pass, when their hearts were merry, that they said, Call for Samson, that he may make us sport. And they called for Samson out of the prison house, and he made them sport. And they set him between the pillars. And Samson said unto the lad that held him by the hand, Suffer me that I may feel the pillars whereupon the house standeth, that I may lean upon them. Now the house was full of the men and women, and all the lords of the Philistines were there, and they were upon the roof about 3,000 men and women that beheld while Samson made sport. And Samson called unto the Lord, and said, O Lord God, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, I pray thee. Only this once, O God, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistines for my 2 eyes. And Samson took hold of the middle pillars, upon which the house stood, and on which it was borne up, of the one with his right hand, and the other with his left. And Samson said, Let me die with the Philistines, and be bored, and be bowed himself, and he bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the lords, and upon all the people that were therein. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. Then his brethren and all the house of his father came down, and took him, and brought him up, and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol, in the burying place of Manoah his father, and he judged Israel 20 years. Apparently, the pillars do not have to do with holding things up, at least not in a literal sense. The pillars are obviously referring to a structure of government. The pillars are the government. When Samson knocked down the pillars, he knocked down a government. So obviously, this is a metaphor. The pillars are not holding up a literal dome over a flat earth. The earth is not flat. It is a globe. The pillars are a government. Okay? So, my closing argument is, the pillars of the heavens are a metaphor. They are a metaphor for the government. They are not literal pillars holding up a flat earth. They are a metaphor for the government. Okay? The pillars do not hold up a flat earth. The earth is a globe, even according to the Bible. We got that? That is my closing argument. The pillars are not literal. They do not hold up a literal flat earth. They are a metaphor. Okay? That is my argument. The pillars are a metaphor. Okay? This is the Dark Knight Apologist, and I just wanted to say, see you next time.